And welcome to the Joys of the Journey, Mburu Wanyoike, the founder of TSAVORA Fencing and a brand in Kenya.
Sure.
I'm so glad you're here. This is going to be an incredible conversation because the impact you do not only for the fencing community, but for the kids' lives in Kenya. Tell us more about how did you get into fencing?
I'll tell you a story before now coming into fencing because it's more of attached. So my previous life with fencing, they're kinda okay. So I was born and raised in Mathare, Huruma, Kiamaiko, all those kind of area. So being born there, I was prone into getting into the life of crime. So the environment was deep into like crime, drugs, prostitution, all those kind of things that you can be able to see in slums, in the ghetto, So being born in this area, I was groomed into getting into the life of crime without me knowing or without my parents or whoever knowing that I was actually being groomed. So slowly by slowly, I started hanging around with these guys. Why? They used to like me, I believe, because they used to come talk to my mom. Hey, Mama Mburu, can we like just walk with Mburu and we'll get him back. And my mom knew them, so she was kind of like, okay, it's fine, you can. So during that moment, slowly but slowly, I kept on seeing like whatever these guys are doing. Cleaning guns, counting money. And this is the kind of life that I was just like, sure, I would want this kind of life of money, of, just flaunting, looking good, wearing silver chains, and, all that it comes with. Um, what I believe is if you're born in like any environment, you're going to definitely mirror whatever is there. Because what I usually know is a kid always mirrors whoever like they're around him or her. Growing up seeing uh for example your parent is violent or seeing your brother is violent, you will definitely navigate into that life without you knowing you're navigating into that kind of life. So that is what actually happened to me. I started seeing this, and the more I'm seeing this, the more I'm wanting it more. Because being born in a background whereby you're poor and you're seeing guys with money, definitely you will want them. So groomed, started carrying them guns. When they go for robberies, I carry and I meet them somewhere, I give them and back. So when they're back after doing all those kind of robberies thing, I was given a little bit of chunk. So I kept on growing into it, seeing, and I reached now in high school, and now I'm fully gangster. You know, have my own gun now. There ain't nobody who can tell me nothing at that point. you know. So started going to robberies as well. Around Nairobi, different places. But one thing I never did, I never had nobody. I've never killed nobody. But the guys that I used to roll with, they were really cold blooded. You know, they wouldn't think twice if you would try and resist. So, and I can say I was different. I think, or I know, or I believe, I trust in myself and my guts and my instincts at that specific moment, that whenever I would want to do something crazy, I always had that second thought of, "Hmm, hmm, this might. So, yeah. Now it reached a point whereby along the way, these guys started dying. My friends back then, they started dying, and they were bigger than me. I was actually the youngest. So they started dying along the way, when we go for like robberies, either one dies or sometimes when I haven't gone for like the robberies, called, hey, yo, one is dead, you know. Others went to jail. Others disappeared. I believe taken by the dirty cops, and they go and, because I believe when you do business with the dirty cops, they will one day take you out. So that is how the streets run. So when you do business with the dirty cop, always know either way, one day they will take you out, you know. And the good thing with me during then, back then, I never used to, when my crew uh, were going to actually hand out some cash bribe to the dirty cops, I was never there. I think I was wise enough because I knew. I think is I've been seeing in the movies. So the more I saw in the movies, the more I was like, So this is how things, but like the natural instinct was like, nah, So anywhere during the bribing, the handouts thing, I was never there. So yeah, so time went. Uh, Guys started dying along the way. I was shot during that moment. It's called the line of duty, the way we used to say. So I was shot during the line of crime. So there's this one day, the dirty cops had given us some intel that there will be a certain businessman somewhere, da da da, and we need to hit them at night. So during that day, we went, and funny enough, we arrived. Okay, things were good. Yeah, now is the time to get the money. So now my crew took the gun out, shoved it to the guy who actually the businessman who was in the car. And the next thing was, we're taking the money. Now the guy, boom. So my crew who actually was, I think, I don't know how he lose focus. He turned back and the guy had a gun, the businessman. So he shot him in the back. During that moment now, my other crew guy shot the guy. I believe it was too fast. I didn't like get quite clear picture during that moment, but the gunshots like started flying. And during that moment, without us knowing, the police have arrived. How did it happen? The dirty cops. Because at the end of the day, when you do business with the dirty cops, they will always set you up. That's how things went. And the cops who were there, they were not there. The cops that we used to, do business with. So yeah, the police came, bullets started flying all over. And the next thing, I'm running. I was shot on my rib, but I didn't know I was shot during that moment. I actually knew I was shot when I went to hide because I was hiding along the river somewhere there. So two of our friends actually died during that day. So they were shot. And yeah, it was crazy. So me hiding during that day, I was hiding like for 2, 3 hours until like 3 in the morning. So coming out of there, I was just feeling some kind of slight pain on my leg, but I didn't want to look myself that specific moment. Just went, got in the house, and yeah, blood. And that's the time I knew, oh shit, I was sorry for that. Now I knew I was shot. So fast forward, during this day somewhere in Kiamaiko, uh, we were with the guys. Now after all that happened, short decided to relax, then come back. Now coming back, we're speaking with the guys somewhere in Kiamaiko, and the moment we were speaking, a car passed, like a personal car passed, and actually stood away, stopped like meters away from us, and five guys came out. Who are these guys? Dirty cops, killer cops. They stood there and they were talking, throwing signs, hand signs, and they were just speaking to each other. And how they looked at me, it was like they know the guys who are in the car that I was with, but they don't know who I am. You understand? Because I've never really wanted show offs. So during that moment, they were talking signs, throwing signs. So they got in the car and they left, and I was speaking with the guys in the car, and I told them, hey, have you seen those guys? And they're just like, leave them alone. We don't care. So we spoke, and we were supposed to go for some robberies during that day at night at like 1:30. So I left, And right now, that specific moment now after leaving, it is now at night, So I started feeling some kind of way, like I'm kind of sick. So I decided to go for some medicine at the pharmacist during that moment. And now going to the pharmacist, I took some meds, and coming back, I was speaking to a lady friend along the way. And we were talking. I saw two cops from the five that I saw during the midday. And I told the lady, please don't run, And she was like, what do you mean I don't run? Before she even finishes the word, you know, two gunshots were heard. The police shot twice up. And what we actually saw, what I saw was people flying, people running for their lives. Because at the end of the day, when you hear gunshots, it's either you run or you just, you know. So during that moment, the lady I was speaking to, as I was focusing with the cops as they were coming down, because it was more like a kind of slope as they're coming down, and this other area, just the ghetto. And I was like in the middle, and they were like coming down like this. So as they were coming down, as I was focusing with them after they already shot up twice, now coming back to speak with the lady I was with, she had already like disappeared. I was just seeing her flying, running. So one cop had a green water pipe, like plastic. He came along and hit me countless of times in the head. So during that moment, I never actually defended myself or tried to like put my hands up so that no, I was just afraid, combined, and I just never really knew what to do because yes, they're here. So what? How will I run? I was the last man standing. So after hitting me countless of times in the head, he actually ran, dashing towards the people who were actually peeping on the like in the corners of the ghetto because they never really wanted them seeing what they're going to do to me. So one cop, after the other cop ran, I was left with the other one. Like he was like 3 meter distance away from me. So he took the gun out and shoved it directly to me. And he was just like, boy, you need to sleep down, lie down. And I was just ranting in Swahili, like siwezi lala chini, I ain't gonna lie down. Najua utaniua. I know you're going to kill me. And I was just ranting, ranting, ranting. And at this point I'm afraid. My like, when the adrenaline is up, you just rant. I think I was afraid, I was not afraid, I don't know. It was like mixed feelings or mixed emotions at that specific moment. So what as we were like back and forth, I had the first gunshot. He was like directly to me. I will see the bullet coming out of the chamber. And like with the sparks, the first one, the second, and I actually zoned out. And at this moment, I was just thinking, what will my mom say? What will my father say? What will the people who know me, what will my brothers like? The people that are actually around me, what will they say? Because nobody knew I was in the life of crime. You understand? It was just me under law, like on the law. So now coming back into my mind, the third gunshot, the fourth one, the fifth one, and I actually tried. I started like touching myself and trying to see if I was hit or if I was shot. And I thank God there was no bullet that actually got into me during that 80s. So I've never really understood that scenario because he shot me. He knew he shot me because after the five gunshots, he stood there like he was surprised. Like, I shot this guy. I really shot him. Like, I knew he had shot me because he wasn't like shooting on the side, he was shooting directly to me. And at that moment, the door of the lady that I was speaking to was open because it was not too far from like where we were standing because it was like the road and the houses around like the neighborhood. So I ran towards the house while facing the cop. So I went in and I stood there at the door, and I'm actually peeping like on the door. And the cop just stood there and staring at where I've actually gone. So he was just like, to me, how I saw him, he was trying to understand how did that happen, because I've shot that guy. You understand? I've shot him, but there's no bullet that has touched him or whatever. So to him, what I saw is he was trying to think, was I using some witchcraft? Or is it just God gave me another chance? And I can tell you for a fact, God gave me another chance in life. You understand? God had a reason as to why during all this time of my life that I was in crime, uh, He never allowed me to die, you know? Because I had been shot at countless of times, but I was shot twice. But during that moment, I was shot at countless, several times. And what I can say is God had a purpose and God had a reason as to why I never died. And I can tell you for a fact, God knew and He had His own reasons. And that's why He gave me another chance. And now, during that moment, I decided me and crime, we are like no more. So I decided to change and just transform to be a better person. So after living the life of crime, I started working here and there, doing some construction work. I was a bakery boy. I was a cleaner. I was a tout. Here like in Kenya, we call them makanga or donda, like the conductor, the guy who actually takes money and calls out, yo, huruma kia maiko mbao mbao. No. So, yeah. So I did all those kind of work, there's nothing that I haven't done. And yeah, so along the way, now it reached a point whereby now I was training in a certain CBU, and there was this guy who is called Okalo. And Okalo approached me and he was like, Farouk, Mburu, you have like really good physique. You can be a fencing athlete. And I was just like, what are you saying? Fencing. I never knew what fencing was, you know? And in my mind, I was just like, did this guy just mention fencing? Does he want me to start jumping over fences? Like in my previous life, I was running away from cops and jumping over. But he actually elaborated and he told me, fencing is a sport, and da, da, da. So he came with the sword, and I was just like, oh, so this is fencing. And during that moment, I was hooked, because I've been seeing the sport in the movies, like in the Pirates of the Caribbean. I've seen in some Jackie Chan movie, some Donnie Yen stuff, Jet Li, So during that time, and I was just like, oh yes, I want it. So he trained me for a couple of months, like 11. And from there, I've been training myself ever since. So trained myself and reached a point whereby now I got a scholarship and I went abroad under the International Fencing Federation in South Africa, in the coaching academy of the FIA. So I stayed there for like a year. I did the diploma of master of fencing. I did high certificate in fitness. I did SAFA D license, like a football coach, specialization in kettlebell, specialization in mobility. So all those kind of certificates, I did them within 1 year. And now coming back in Nairobi, that's the time that I started now TSAVORA fencing. Yes, TSAVORA fencing. And you will ask, how did my childhood actually shape up my big moves that I'm making today? I believe it was the decision that I made, and the choices that I made to actually stop the kind of life that I was into. So the decision that I made are the decisions that actually made who I am today. Deciding and realizing that I need to think beyond and just stop this kind of life. So until now, yeah. So now coming back now, I started Savora fencing. That's number one. The decision that I made now made me now got scholarship, went abroad and came back, and now I'm starting Savora fencing. And it's an idea that I had before of starting a fencing club and a company and all this kind of thing. So I started Savora fencing, and I started now in the hoods. From there, we introduced it in the international schools, and now introducing it in the international schools. So the revenue that we generate from the international schools, we support our youth now in the community. So in terms of school fees, in terms of equipment, the little amount that we get, we purchase the equipment. So it went on, and yeah, yeah. And you would ask, how did I come up with the name Savora? So um, Savora means I am great. I am great. So Savora is attached to me because the moment I was actually transiting now into this other life, during that moment I was making the decision of deciding to transform. I thought to myself, and I was just like, if God has given me this chance to actually build myself and be a greater person, then God has a purpose for me. And I need to understand my purpose and the reason as to why I was given this second chance. So understanding that, I knew that at some point I need to actually give back to the community. Because at the end of the day, in the community, youths, it's really hard youth in the community to get like opportunities. And I believe this was my purpose, to actually go outside there, get the skills, get the knowledge, and come back now into the community and give back. I understand. So Savora means I am great. And now understanding that I am great, and I need to actually pass this on, the skills, the knowledge that I have, to the youths in the community. Because at the end of the day, the youths in the community, they are great as well in their own way. It's just that they never like realize it or understand it at that specific moment. But if they are given that support and they're given that hand, they will definitely understand how great they are. So Savora means I am great. And definitely someone might ask, how has Savora helped in breaking barriers and making fencing more accessible in Kenya, in Nairobi? So how are we doing that? We actually creating teams. What do I mean by creating teams? We're ensuring that we're introducing the sport in different hoods. You understand? Ruma, Kiamaiko, Madare, Korogocho, Kariobangi. Yes, we're having this one center, but we're introducing into these other areas. So once we introduce it through creating awareness of the sport in the streets, so once we get this campaign outside there, you'll find that people start asking, "Oh, we would love to actually participate in the sport. How can we join?" Da da da, and all those kind of things. So we ensure that we speak to them, we encourage them to come in, and once they come, they start coming now into that one center, which is in Huruma. The reason being why we decide to have this one center is because in other areas you'll find that you're being charged to actually participate or just use some social hall. It's crazy, and that's how it is. So I decided we're going to just be using our own hall, you know, because at the end of the day, there's politics, small politics in these different hoods, you know. So I decided when someone comes, they're gonna like come directly to Savora in Huruma. And As well, apart from that, we have introduced the sport in couple of different suburbs in or different areas in Nairobi, like opening or partnering with different entities to having like a fencing club there. Because we believe that other people who are well off and they can afford fencing, when they ask or when they inquire, we tell them this is where we are located. Because at the end of the day, they can't be able to come in the hoods. You understand? There's just so based in Karen, Westlands, this kind of area. So those are the areas that we're actually partnering with different entities and we're introducing the sport there. So if one needs to or wants to join the club, we actually direct them to joining the clubs there. But this one in the hoods, it's more of giving the opportunity to the youths in the hood to understand at the end of the day, these are the opportunities that we're offering them for a better tomorrow and for them to actually be better people in life, you know?
Yeah, sorry for interrupting. Just to add something very interesting. I think it always takes one person like you to go through all the things you have gone through and now become a leader for what you think needs to be changed, and you kind of giving hope to those athletes that there's something bigger out there and better. Because as you said at the beginning, is like when your environment is like this, you're mirroring and that's all you know and that's all you see, and you feel like that's all I have for me. But I feel like you had this gut feeling that maybe there's something bigger and better because you always holding yourself back of not making the major crime decisions or whatever that is. And I feel like we all come with a purpose, and sometimes we don't reach our personal goals because I was an athlete too. I wanted to achieve this and that. I haven't, but I am proud of myself pushing through those difficult moments, because now I can speak to others that it's going to be okay. Whether you become a national world champion or not, there's life after whatever. My situation was definitely not even close to your situation, but in general, like, I think you're such an incredible role model for the people coming from the places you have come from, to see that, like, whether they become a big stars in the international fencing scene or not, their life can be much different than what their parents and grandparents and siblings have done.
Yes, yes. And yeah, so I can say it's still a building phase and a success story of one of my fencers or a couple of fencers. So Savora has produced 17 fencing athletes in the national Kenya fencing team, and a couple of our fencers got a scholarship as well into the International Fencing Federation. We have one who is currently in South Africa. He's called Monayo Joffrey, and him as well raised in the hood, through Savora and the initiatives, Savora Fencing Tiny Books and Blades. He got a scholarship and the FIE, and he went, and right now he's doing good. Uh, I introduced my brother as well. So my big brother, I trained him, and he got a scholarship as well in 2023. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So he went as well, and he came back. And at the end of the day, you see change. Like the more they get exposed, the more they understand that in life, it's not just all about like the four corners of the slums or the four corners of the ghettos. There's a lot outside there. And what I usually say is when our youths get more exposed, they understand life more better. You understand? And I believe we are going to um, change more lives. And our end goal and vision is to ensure that we are impacting, we are inspiring, and we are empowering more youths and ensuring that at the end of the day, um, youths can be able to just earn from like fencing. We've created kind of structures that are the structures that could help these youth uh, earn a living by coaching, and so forth and so forth. So we're ensuring that we are going to keep on pushing and like breaking the barriers, breaking, you know, yeah, yeah. So Savara fencing has helped our fences away from fencing in terms of mentorship, in terms of letting them understand that at the end of the day, um, it's not always about being an athlete, but as a person, like person, if it never works as an athlete, if you don't win medals, if you don't, achieve all these other medals, there's always life after being an athlete. So mentorship, life skill, training them in terms of financial literacy, understanding how to, navigate a day-to-day life, discipline, um, just being patient, not just in sport as a fencer, but generally as a human being. For you to be able to achieve your goals, you need to have patience. You need to be determined at some point. And you need to be disciplined and all that. So, what I envision for Savora for 5 to 10 years to come is Savora will be one, and it is one of the best fencing clubs in the world. Yes, one of the best fencing clubs in the world, not just by producing international fences, but by producing great people in life, by producing leaders, not just in sports, but leaders um, who can be able to lead and just help in general as a leader does, just lead people into the right way and into the right path, like I am. Understanding that you can be able to make right from wrong, and the moment you make like wrong decision, you can be able to actually come back and understand I did make a decision. I need to make the right choices to do the right thing. So coming back to it, in 5 years, Savora will have produced best fences. Right now, we produced 17 fences in the national team who are the best in East Central Africa. But in 5, 10 years to come, we'll have produced even world champs and Olympians. And yes, and apart from that, will be one of the most richest and wealthiest fencing clubs in the world, because I understand the dynamics of business right now. I've grown into it. I'm still learning, and at the end of the day, I want to produce fencers who understand business as well, like the business perspective of fencing, because I understand the business perspective of fencing right now. So I'm going to ensure that all the fencers that I produce are going to be really, really, you know, good in terms of business as well. So yes, so that's what I envision in like 5 to 10 years to come.
I want to ask you how a global community and how can anyone that wants to help your academy, the fencer, in what way and shape or form they can help you?
So the best way to get involved is in terms of partnerships. So we are looking into educational partnerships, monetarily partnerships, mentorship, and we're just not looking in one specific angle or view, but we're welcoming different types of people, um, different type of companies, different types of, like, any partnership to us will be will be a plus, and we will appreciate for that. We have PayPal, through PayPal. So email is savorafencing@gmail.com. And other ways of supporting us is through we're going to share our bank account details, and they're going to be just down on the links below. So that's what I envision, the global community to support our fences. The fact that our fences train from the hoods and without a proper facility, it's to them, they usually work hard, and they don't really see it as, how can I say, they don't really see it as a disability in terms of them lacking um, proper facility or standard facility. What they see is them putting in effort day in, day out. And what I'm trying so hard is to be able to build a conducive environment and a proper environment for them to be able to train well. Because I believe when an athlete is in a proper facility, a proper, well equipped facility, their morale goes up. You understand? So they get to train more hard. They are focused. And apart from that, even though right now we don't have like the better facilities, they keep on like putting in the hard work, putting in the effort, putting in like all their everything in there. So I would love the global community to support us into facilitating in terms of equipment, in terms of building our facility, and gonna have our PayPal link down below. And I'm looking forward to actually have you guys support Savora fences, and Savora fencing as a whole. And what I would love people to know me when I'll be like 80, 89 years is there's this guy who is called Mburu Wanyoike, uh, who comes from Nairobi, Kenya, Africa. And he's a guy who always wanted people to be great. A person who um, would love to see the world a better place. So
What do you want to be known for? Let's just say you're 80, 90 years old. What do you want? What kind of legacy you want to leave behind?
I'm this person who um, I love seeing people being great version of themselves. That's the main thing. Apart from wanting to produce great fences, what I want to see and really look into is there's this one guy who actually changed because of what they had me say, of the life that I've gone through. You understand? Like, not just Kenya, not just Africa, but the whole universe and the world as a whole. I would want to see a kid somewhere in Asia, somewhere in Africa, being a greater version of themselves as a person, apart from being a greater athlete. But apart from being an athlete, you're a person. So being a greater person, understanding that at the end of the day, you have a life to live, you have choices and decisions to make. So for me, when I'm 80 years, I would love to hear that there's this young kid who actually changed their lives because they had of what you say. That at the end of the day, uh, don't let the environment that you are define who you're going to be in a negative way. No matter the environment, no matter where you come from, always ensure that the environment that you are defines you in a positive manner. Like me, the environment that I came from was an environment of violence, an environment um, of gangs. You understand? An environment of where drugs were really high. You know, like the rate, prostitution. But here I am. I'm a greater person and the best version of myself. So for me, all I always want to see is people being the best version of themselves and growing to be the greater people they've always envisioned to be. And that is what I would want to see at some point in life. That someone, apart from being, you know, millionaires, being the great, the world champions in fencing, whatever matters is just the person in them. That is what that matters. They became great just because they humble themselves, they are kind. What matters is the person they are growing to be every single day. And that is what I would love to be remembered for. A person who changed and impacted someone and inspired someone and empowered someone to be a greater person in life.
I want to thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to talk to you finally. And I wish nothing but the best for TSAVORA fencing. And I know we're gonna message again, we're gonna contact again. You're gonna be on the podcast again, maybe a year from now, some big news. I'm super excited for everything you do. And I appreciate you so much from the fencing community for us who now have everything and you're starting something new. And we're gonna try to figure out in what shape or form we can help you. But you're inspiring not only the young generation in Kenya, you're inspiring somebody like me and everybody else. So thank you for that. Thank you for being the warrior. And yes, and we'll see you soon. Bye.
Mburu Wanyoike, adios. Thank you.